Hey, it's Sri here. In today's video, I'm going to talk you through why your husband ignores you and what to do about it when he does. Now, before we dive in, I know that if you're watching this video, dealing with a husband that just continues to ignore you over and over and over can bring up huge amounts of rejection. And so I know that the pain that you're going through is really, really intense. And, if you're in a place where you're not sure what to do and you're really struggling and you're just needing some help on this journey, then I'd love to be of service to you. All you need to do is that if it does feel right and if you need some guidance, then in the description section below there's a link which just says book a call with me. Just click on that link, choose a time that works for you, and then I'll contact you at that scheduled time just to understand where you are now, where you want to get to, and how we can help you with some strategies to be able to really create those shifts in the marriage that you're in right now. And make sure you hit the subscribe button below and click on that bell notification as well, so that every week you get notified when my latest videos get released, teaching you specifically about how to improve you, how to really learn more about male psychology, and how you can do everything in your power to be able to save your marriage, especially if you've been on the receiving end of infidelity. Now, in any marriage, there's always reasons why a husband might be ignoring you, and a lot of it can be very specific to the marriage. But I think if we look at it in a broader context, there's always some patterns that exist, and there's always some very common themes that I see in the work that I do. Now, the first reason why your husband might be ignoring you at this moment in time is all about the intention. If you think about men for a second, one of the most important aspects of their life is their sense of mission, where they're wanting to go, what they're wanting to achieve, and so on. Whereas for the feminine energy is very much focused on love and connection. So often what you've got here is that the husband is focused on his work and focused on his mission and focused on becoming significant and achieving all these wonderful things in that area of his life. And then the wife is focused on how she can build that connection and experience that sense of love. Now, this is a general pattern that I do see a lot. And so this is the very reason why you'll often find that if a man is putting all his time and energy into his work, because the woman craves the attention and love so much, she's going to push harder to try and get that. But he's going to want to distance himself because his whole energy needs to go into that particular area. I'm not saying that that's right, but it's often a reason why that person goes and puts their time and energy into the things that they want to do in terms of work, and why they end up ignoring the wife. Now, the second reason why men often ignore their wives is because they want to feel significant and they want to go to areas in their life where they can derive that sense of significance. Now, as I mentioned before, it could be through work, it could be through playing sports and that feeling of victory that they want to claim. It could be through competing in online games, it could be going out and playing golf. There's so many different areas in which a man can often derive significance. And so sometimes being in the marriage doesn't provide that sense of significance for the man in that moment. And so because of that, he's going to gravitate towards areas where he wants to feel that level of significance, to be able to conquer, to be able to experience victory, and so on. And the third reason why men tend to ignore their wives quite a lot is because they simply just want to coexist. For them, it's just about having a source of stability at home, and they're also oblivious to the emotional needs of their wife because they look at life through the lens of the masculine. They look at life through how they would view it, not how the wife would actually view it. And men and women have a very, very different outlook and a very different experience emotionally. So they don't understand that a woman often needs that stronger emotional connection in that moment. They just think, oh, well, we've just been together for a long time, we coexist, it's all good, we sit on the couch, we watch TV together, we hang out from time to time, we do things with the kids, and that's enough. They don't understand the importance of actually building a strong emotional connection for the wife. And so often it's just a case of them being completely oblivious to it as well. Now, when a man ignores you, there's often two key decisions that we often make in those moments. The first is what does this mean? If your husband is ignoring you, it's very easy to go down that path of thinking that he doesn't love you, he doesn't care for you, and so on. And so it's really easy to create that meaning, and then that can impact your emotional state, which then impacts the way in which you act following on from those behaviors. Now, the second decision that we often make is, how did we react when we felt rejected when we were younger? See, a lot of the patterns that we run, even as we become adults, are often patterns that we ran when we were kids. And that's often because of the inner child that exists within us. And I'll talk about that in a separate video. But when we talk about the inner child, we're talking about a lot of the programming that occurred when we were younger. So if one of our parents or friends or siblings didn't quite give us the attention that we wanted, we made a decision in those moments about how we were going to react in order to get the love that we need from that particular person. So that might be that you may shut down. That might mean that you get even more intense. That might mean you get angry. That might mean that you throw a bit of a tantrum and then that way you got what you wanted and so on. So we develop these little patterns from a young age and we carry those forward into adult life. Now, whilst they may not necessarily be as intense as what they were when we were younger, there's still those foundations that run the show for us. And so we have to understand what are the patterns that we're running and what meaning do we choose to create in all of these circumstances that we're in. Now, I say these things because we have to develop an awareness of how we're reacting when it comes to the behaviors that we're on the receiving end of. By having awareness, you then have the ability to be able to shift it. So then you have to ask yourself, what can you do when your husband actually ignores you? Well, I'm going to go through 3 important points now. Now, the first point is to make sure that you don't step into your masculine energy as a result of those behaviors. It's very easy to want to feel angry and to feel frustrated and to feel hurt and then to become even more controlling and more dominant and so on. What that will only do is create a complete lack of polarization in the marriage. In other words, if you're the more feminine partner and he's the more masculine, if you suddenly become more masculine, then what will happen is you two will clash. There'll be no polarity, there'll be no spark or chemistry on any particular level. And so then that's going to further distance yourselves as well. Now, there's a big difference between being dominant versus just being able to have a really productive and stern conversation. And I think it's important to have some of those conversations from time to time to speak your truth. But if you become more domineering and more controlling, that's going to cause him to further run away from it all as well, or potentially become even more intense. Now, the second thing that you want to be doing here is to be curious and not judgmental. Now, this is a lovely quote from the TV show Ted Lasso. And it's a really, really important point because in any area of our lives, when we see other people doing things that go against what we want or what we believe in or what we admire, we immediately step into a place of judgment rather than having a sense of curiosity. And if you think about life sometimes, that there are times when we come across certain individuals and they trigger us, they annoy us, and we get pissed off at them. They might be this person who's like the life of the party and we get frustrated at that person, or it might be someone who's really, really shy and quiet and they're not actually able to be open to you and so on, and then that drives you nuts and we very quickly become very judgmental. But then when you actually learn about their lives and what they've gone through, you start to have a bit more compassion and empathy of it, because often those are defense mechanisms for challenges that they've had to go through in the past. So we want to take an approach of being curious about what's going on. If your husband is ignoring you, if your husband is not actually stepping up and giving you the love and the attention, he's putting all his energy into work and so forth, really become curious about what's going through his mind. And if you think about it, if you come from a place of curiosity, it opens your heart. And when you open your heart, you're then going to be able to ask better questions. You're going to come more from a loving place. And I always believe that love is always the winner in any of these circumstances. If you can have the intent of coming from love and coming from your heart, you're always going to have a better chance of being able to get through to that particular person, because it means that you're truly stepping into your feminine and allowing him to step into his masculine the right way, and that's how you create that spark as well. So be curious and not judgmental. And finally, I really want you to feel the pain that you're going through. It's very easy when you're in a difficult place to completely shut off. You can immerse yourself in your work, you can immerse yourself in other things that are going to keep you distracted and avoid the pain that you're going through. What that does is suppress the pain even more, and it's going to make it even worse in the long run. You've got to allow yourself to experience the pain. Now that sounds really strange, I know, but believe me, when you can actually feel the pain, remember, it is an energy in the body. It's nothing more than that. And I think what happens is we put a label on it. We create any type of emotion that we have the physical sensation of it, and then we have the negative thoughts associated with that. So if you can separate those two and just spend some time just feeling those emotions, just feel it as a sensation in the body, just experience that ever so slightly, then what it'll do is it'll just give you a little bit of experience of just releasing some of that pain inside. And I can tell you now from experience, when I've been able to just sit with my emotions and sit with how I'm feeling, what actually ends up happening is after a while I might feel just a certain relief, because I'm not trying to bury it, I'm not trying to sweep it under the rug. And too many people in society try and sweep it under the rug, and I promise you that in time what that will do is only create more and more of the pain. So just give yourself that opportunity to feel your own emotions, and this is really all about doing the inner healing within yourself. And it's just a simple starting point that you can slowly start to practice, once or twice a day. Just get comfortable with it, and as you get more and more comfortable with it, you'll actually find it'll make a huge difference. But I know that when you're going through these sorts of times, to experience the pain, it actually feels so intense that part of you is going, why would I want to experience it? Because we are in a culture of just wanting to escape from the pain. So sometimes you just need a little bit of extra support or a little bit of guidance or a little bit of help on this journey. And that's why I've produced my Authentic Relationship System training program, to be able to help you create that transformation from within, to really heal some of those deeper wounds inside of you. And as you heal that, then what happens is your whole perception, your whole experience that you have in everyday life begins to change. You become more positive, more joyful, more happy, and just more at peace. And I think that to me is a beautiful thing. And funnily enough, when you're in that place, then great things are bestowed upon you. Things start to flow in your direction. And I often find that that's when the other partner starts to pick up on that and wants to better themselves as well. So if you are struggling, if you are wanting to know a little bit more about how I can potentially help you on this journey through my program, the Authentic Relationship System, then I'd love to be of service to you. Then all you need to do is just down in the description section below, just click on that link which just says book a call with me. Just choose a time that works for you, just fill out the short application form, and then I'll contact you at the scheduled time just to see if there's any way that I can help and if you are a good fit for the program. If you are, then we can work through the details. If not, then I'll make sure I give you a couple of pointers just to make sure you move in the right direction as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you've liked it, make sure you've hit the like button below. If you want to get more videos like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and let me know what your biggest takeaway is from this video. I always love hearing your messages. Just write them below in the comments and I'll make sure I respond to every single one of them. If you want to learn how to recover from infidelity, just click on this video above. If you want to learn how to save your marriage alone, just click this video above. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you in the next video.